This is Jason Reed Pratt, author of Cry of Justice. Have you ever wanted to lose support for your regime in one of your cities and still keep economic supply flowing through its lines of communication, even though that shouldn't be possible because you don't know what you're doing sometimes? Me too! Fortunately, I'm playing the Army of the Republic of Vietnam for the first time, along with the Crisis Grog multiplayers in GMT's Fire in the Lake, designed by Mark Herman and Volky Runke, and last turn, during our first coup, I was supposed to lose income from any roads attached to a city where I had lost support from my regime, specifically Khartoum, where US Rich and I quickly got our support back during the coup. But I didn't understand the rule then, and I might not understand it properly now. So I ended up with at least 3 more cash than I should have done during my harvest, which will pay for 1 more move. And my economy chip is still at 15 when it ought to be down to 12. That's because all these roads, or lines of communication as they're called in the game, attach to Khartoum. And thanks to enemy action on prior turns, our support had been neutralized there. This is a subtle point of rule which, to be honest, we're going to keep messing up for a while until we learn better. What you're watching here amounts to the visual record of a match where we're already some number of moves ahead by the time I make the episode. But I wanted to explain what we, and by we I mean especially what I, did wrong here. Oh, and I was supposed to flip all the Special Force specs over toward the end of the coup turn, and I missed one down here, which a sharp-eyed viewer might have noticed in passing last time. So, blip, that's fixed. Now it's finally time for turn 6. Medevac is now the active event. MiGs is upcoming. Ugh. US Rich and then I, Arvin, have first and second initiative this turn. The US player, Rich, takes the Medevac event. Helicopter evacuation had started in the Korean War, although its origins date back to the World War II Burma Road campaign. This event represents no specific history as far as I know, but just a broad temporary push in effectiveness, which for various invisible reasons will be neutered back to normal eventually. That's because this is a momentum card if the event gets played, and momentum cards are neutralized once the next coup rolls around. The upcoming event, MiGs, by distinction, is a capability, and therefore both permanent and, in our case, annoying, if Team North takes it. But if NVA Dave really wants it, I can't stop him, and whacking NVA resources by 6 at the end of each coup for the rest of the game, if I could swing that, while evil and very possibly crippling, seems like a super cruel move to throw on our new player. And I'd have to pass to even have a chance at it next time, but if I do that, then I'm signaling I'm going to go for the event, basically guaranteeing Dave will take it. Whereas, if I leave it alone, Dave might focus on getting his ground game belatedly up and running. So I elect not to prod the Red Hornets. Now, whether Larry, who plays the Viet Cong, will take the event anyway next turn, who the heck can guess? While I would like to put my remaining available specs on the board, and my last currently available troop, and more police, I would rather get cracking with what I've got first. So, it's time to show G.I. Joe how to sweep up these malcontents. But first, my special activity will be a raid, which is why I would like more of my yellow specs on the board, since I need specs for raiding, and they can even hit hidden Team North specs. But anyway, my first and only raid attempt will be Quang Tri, where the mission allows me to move my spec into the target space from an adjacent space, in this case from Quang Nam. Notice, by the rule, my raids are limited to a move of only 1 space. So if I had to cross a road, like if I was going south instead, I couldn't get there for the raid. That road would be a space. This is similar to Team North's march limitations. But between these 2 provinces, there isn't a road, so I can move in. Unlike Team North players marching their specs around, my specs stay hidden by moving them in a raid, regardless of how many specs I'm moving or how many enemies are in my target spaces. On the other hand, I have very few ways of moving my special forces around, whereas the VC and the NVA can just march theirs around as much as they're able to pay for. But my spec doesn't stay hidden for long, because when I activate the spec I can remove any 2 Team North forces in the space, at my choice, but bases last, and any underground bases would be invulnerable to raids. So I can't get rid of that blue base yet. It has pieces defending it. But I can VIP off the 2 VC specs. This also gives us coin control, for now, and I pick up 2 points from the local population. Arvin's score goes up to 33. Now for the actual sweep operation. Sweeps are a short-range movement for Team South players which can use one road along the way for transitioning from area to area. If I want to move pieces a longer way, I have to use patrols, and then I have to stick to the cities and the roads. Sweeps cost 3 cash per target area, regardless of forces moved into that area. I can only move troops, my yellow cubes, in a sweep. Even though I can only move troops, all my non-base forces in each target space will then each flip over a Team North spec in their area, at my choice, whether red and or blue, although right now we only have blue specs to worry about. In a jungle area I can only flip over 1 spec for 2 forces of mine, but none of my targets will be in jungle this time. Also, I don't even have to move my troops during a sweep. I can just declare sweeping in a target space and let my non-base pieces there get to work. Unfortunately, I cannot use Rich's US pieces for sweeping, nor vice versa. This will become a problem later in the game. I'm going to target 4 areas, which will cost me 3 cash times 4 areas equals 12 cash paid, bringing my cash down to 53. 3 troops from Hue to Quang Tri. No specs here anymore to flip, but sweeping is also just the basic move operation for Team South. 3 troops from Da Nang to Quang Tin. Both specs flipped active, but VC Larry still matches my pieces here, so I do not get control. 2 troops from Kanto City to Kinh Hoa Province. The only spec here flips active. I outnumber Team North here now, so I get control, and my score goes up by 2 population points to 35. 2 troops from Kanto City to Kinh Giang Province. Also only 1 spec here to flip, and again I outnumber Team North here now, so I get control, increasing my score by 2 population points to 37. Notice that a sweep doesn't remove enemy pieces. It only moves my pieces a short distance, and prepares some enemy special force pieces, the communist irregulars, to be hit because now the United States and I can see them. This gives players an edge on defense because usually, not always, moving your pieces into an enemy area gives the enemy first shot at you. Whether we can clean up those areas anytime soon remains to be seen, for it's now their turns of doom. Doom, 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 doom. Amen, 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 doom, 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 doom.